So in Rogue Company Season 6, the number of perks have gone from 6 to 8. Plus they've added a rarity. And in this video, we're going to take a closer look. So starting off with Anvil. Some of the main perks that you'll definitely want to be picking up are Tenacity, as you'll reduce incoming explosive damage by 25%. Bulletproof, which is one of Anvil's legendary perks, and you will take 15% less damage. And then just to top it off, you want to make sure you are picking up the armor perk, which will give him 75 extra armor. And these perks, all combined, you're really going to get the most out of Anvil. Now, cannons similar to Anvil, you probably want to look at getting Energize, which means you'll get his Gatling gun 25% faster. You'll probably also want to pick up the epic version of armor, which means you'll get 50 additional armor. Legendary version of Tenacity, which means incoming explosive damage is reduced by 50%. Now, playing the Shack, you're probably going to be entering the bomb sites first. So getting the rare version of Shredder rounds means that you do 10% more damage to armored targets. Now, if you are playing Shack in that playstyle, then Life Drain will be equally as important, which means you'll get 40 of your health back. And a legendary Tenacity perk means you'll take 50% less explosive damage, which I think will be really important if you're playing this Shack with an aggressive playstyle. Now, playing as Dahlia, you probably do want to get the most out of her support functionality. So getting the legendary Lifeline as a first perk is 100% essential. You revive teammates 40% faster, and additionally, they start their health regeneration immediately. That paired with Energize, which means you'll get your ult back 50% faster, and then you'll probably want to be picking up both the rare perks in Crackshot and Blaster. Crackshot will do an additional 10% headshot damage, whilst Blaster will really utilize her having a grenade, and that means that she'll do an additional 20% explosive damage. Now, if you're playing Dallas, you definitely want to be picking up Stalker, and by having this perk, he can move 50% faster whilst aiming down sight. Now, of course, playing as an intel rogue, you'll probably want his legendary perk Spotter. You can see enemy footprints, but additionally, if you shoot someone, it will reveal them for 5 whole seconds. And to be honest, right now, there's no real counter to being revealed by tracker rounds, so this perk is actually really strong. And the other perk, Crackshot, meaning you can deal 30% extra damage, is definitely something that you'll want to be picking up with Dallas. Especially if you're a Devotion or a DMR player, you're definitely going to get the most out of this perk. Now, it goes without saying, if you're playing Dima, the Energize perk is perfect for him. Getting that Merv launcher 75% quicker is really going to be beneficial. But that paired with Blaster, meaning you do 40% more explosive damage, that is going to be really deadly. Personally as well, if you're playing Dima, Shredder rounds wouldn't be a bad shout to throw in there, dealing 15% extra damage to armored targets. Now, if you're playing Glitch, you probably want to pick up the perk Energize, meaning you can get his hacking device ult out 25% faster. That paired with the armor perk, meaning you'll get 50 additional armor. And personally, I would go for the legendary Gunsmith perk, which increases magazine size and fall off damage by 40%. Which basically means you can do higher damage values with your SMG at further ranges. Which is perfect if you're using the recently buffed LMPX. So playing as Glimpse, you definitely want to be stealthy. So padded steps is an absolute must. And considering now only 5 rogues have padded steps, you'll definitely want to utilize picking this perk. Now, with this playstyle, you'll definitely want to be picking up Shredder rounds. It's inevitable you're going to run into armor targets, so having the ability to do 15% more damage to armor targets goes hand in hand with that sort of playstyle. And it won't hurt throwing Life Drain in there, meaning you can get 60 HP back every time you kill someone. Now, it goes without saying, if you're playing Kestrel, you want Energize, which means you can get her ultimate ability back 75% faster. And you'll definitely want to be pairing this with Blaster, which means those drones will do 30% extra damage. And if you're playing Kestrel, you'll probably want to be picking up Shredder rounds, meaning you'll do 20% extra damage to armored targets. I think Kestrel is going to be one of the top tier rogues for sure. Now, Lancer, you'll definitely want to be picking up padded steps, because if you're playing Lancer and not using padded steps, what are you doing? Energize is also going to help her get her ultimate ability back 50% faster, and the all-important Life Drain to complete Lancer off to get 60 HP back every single time you down someone. Now, for Mac, you'll definitely be wanting to pick up Crackshot, which allows him to do 30% extra headshot damage. And spraying with the conviction, especially with the new mythic wrap, it's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Now, having Gunsmith to allow the conviction to work at its best means that fall off ranges will drop on the conviction by 30%. And as the LMG is a big heavy old gun, you'll definitely be wanting to pick up Stalker, which will allow Mac to strafe left and right whilst aiming down sight 50% quicker. Now, playing as Phantom, you'll definitely want to be picking up Shredder rounds, which will allow her to do 20% extra damage to armored targets. And that's stacked with Crackshot, which means you'll do an additional 20% headshot damage. And of course, all those Phantom mains will definitely want to be using Stalker, which will allow her to move quicker whilst ADSing. Now, if you're playing Ronin, you'll definitely be wanting to pick up the perk Blaster, which allows her to do 30% extra explosive damage, and that applies to the ballistic knife as well as her grenades. Having Shredder rounds on Ronin is equally as important, which will allow her to do 20% extra damage to armored targets. And personally, I really like the perk Gunsmith on Ronin as well, which allows her to increase magazine size by 30% and reduce all fall off damage. Now, Runway, you're playing support, so Energize, meaning she can get her briefcase back 75% faster, is really important to you and your team. Which is why, if I was playing Runway, I would go for Help in Hand, which means she can revive people 30% faster. And lastly, I'd probably go for the perk Blaster, which gives her 20% extra explosive damage. But to be honest, it was a really tight call between having Blaster and getting 25 extra armor. Now, Saint, you'll want to be picking up Help in Hand, which means you can revive teammates 40% faster. When stacked with Lifeline, which means that he can res 20% faster, it allows him to revive teammates in 1.5 seconds, which is going to be really, really strong. With both of those perks, you'll definitely want to be picking up Energize, which allows him to send that drone 75% faster. Now, playing as Scorch, having Energize, which means she can get her ultimate ability back 25% faster, is definitely one of the perks that I would pick up. Now, that paired with Volatile, which means it will do 30% extra fire damage over time, topped off with Tenacity, which reduces incoming explosive damage by 50%. Which are probably the 3 perks that I would go for if I was using Scorch. Now, as Seeker only has a toughness of 1, meaning he takes 5% extra damage, you'll definitely be wanting to pick up armor for an additional 25 health. I would also go for the Lifeline perk as well, which means you can revive teammates 30% faster. And of course, Crackshot, which increases your headshot damage by 30%. Now, Sigrid, you do really want to be picking up the Bulletproof perk, as this allows you to take 15% less damage from firearms, which of course increases her tankiness, which is why I'd probably go with Tenacity as well, which reduces incoming explosive damage by 25%. And I'll probably top this combination off with Shredder rounds, which means as you're breaching a site, it'll increase your damage to armor targets by 15%. Now, Switchblade, like Seeker, she only has 1 toughness, which means she receives 5% more damage, which is why I'd recommend picking up Bulletproof, which means you'll take 10% less firearm damage to the body. But of course, if you're playing Switchblade, you're playing for that RPG, which is why you'll definitely want to pick up the Blaster perk, which allows her to do 40% extra damage. And to get the most out of that RPG, Volatile is a perk you'll be wanting to pick up, as it increases the potency damage of 15% from that RPG's fire spread. Now, if you are a DMR player, then Crackshot definitely gets the most out of Talon. Dealing an extra 30% headshot damage is really beneficial, and that paired with Shredder rounds, which means you'll do an extra 10% damage to armored targets, and that all mixed in with padded steps, so you can sneak up on your enemies and gain that advantage. Now, Fixer, you'll definitely be wanting to pick up Crackshot, which means you deal 30% extra headshot damage, and that, partnered with Gunsmith, means it will increase your ammo capacity by 40%, which means the tire gets 3 bullets. And that is OP. All mixed in with Energize means you'll get his ultimate ability back 50% faster. Now, to get the most out of Trench, you'll definitely be wanting to pick up the armor perk, which grants him 75 extra armor. Additionally, you'll want Volatile, which means his barbed wire does 30% extra damage over time. Personally, I would mix that in with Energize, which means you can get his barbed wire back 75% faster, which will really help holding off pushes when you're playing Demolition. Now, if you're playing Umbra, it's all about the spider. So having Blaster that does 20% more extra explosive damage goes hand in hand with his ultimate ability. And as with most rogues, I'd go for Crackshot, which allows him to do 30% extra headshot damage. And I'll probably throw Stalker in there, which allows him to move 25% faster whilst ADSing. Now, lastly, Vi. It goes without saying, she definitely wants to make the most out of her Vi poison. So Volatile is the perfect perk for her. It increases the potency of her Vi poison by 45%. That paired with Energize, which means she will get them Vi poisons back 50% faster, is a really good combo to have when you're playing Vi. And lastly, you'll probably want to pick up Bulletproof, which means you will take 15% less firearm damage when shots are made to her body. Now, did you enjoy this video? Then be sure to check out this video that breaks down all the speed and toughness for each individual rogue. Until the next one, peace!